Hello everyone, this is the second video on Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche's essay, We Should All Be Feminists. In the last video we talked about, I gave you an introduction to Adiche. I talked about what are the different stereotypes, the negative baggage that the word feminist carry, the stereotypes which is usually associated with feminists, and the instances. I also gave you Adiche's instances where the society constantly reminded women of her inferior status as just because she is a woman. And I also talked about the different spaces where women are not accommodated without the accompaniment of a male. In this particular video, we'll deal with the rest of the essay. In the rest of the essay, at the very beginning, I would like to talk about how the patriarchal normative order, how does it inflict violence upon the boys? How does it affect boys? Does this particular structure, patriarchal structure, is it favorable to boys or not? Adiche says that it is of course not favorable to boys, in the sense that she says we are stifling the humanity of boys by defining masculinity in a very narrow terms. In a very narrow terms, in the sense that we tell boys that they cannot have feelings, they cannot have fear, they cannot be weak or vulnerable. They will always have to wear a mask and walk so that they appear very strong and very hard. They are always reminded of the fact, and they are always compelled to pay the bills. They are always made to be financially independent, and also to take care of the financial needs of the girls or the wife or daughters or mother or whoever it is, all those women who are connected to him. So what happens is, when he is made to pay the bill, when he is made to be strong, when he is compelled to be strong, compelled to be hard, what happens is there happens a tendency in males to go for negative things. Especially Adiche talks of an instance where they are compelled to steal money in order to pay the bills. So why do we actually link masculinity to money? Why is masculinity and money linked? So Adiche says that if we raise children in a different way, where men or boys are not made to feel the pressure of paying the bills and proving their masculinity in that way, or in material ways. So she says that the harder the men or the harder the boys are compelled, the harder the boys are compelled to be strong, the weaker their ego will be. Now what happens with this weaker ego is that, what about these girls? The girls are raised in a way to cater to this fragile egos of the males. We teach girls to shrink themselves, to present themselves as weak. Of course, in the modern society, girls are told to have ambitions, but up to what? But their ambitions always should have a limit. They can be ambitious, but not too ambitious. They can be successful, but not too much. They cannot be successful in such a way that they threaten their husbands. There is this word threatening, there is this word intimidating, which Adiche talks about. See, if Adiche says that people fear, or society fear, patriarchal society fear that if girls are too ambitious, if girls are too successful, they would threaten men. See, girls of course are allowed to, it is always allowing, right? Girls can take care of all the financial concerns of the family. Girls can, of course, a woman can take care of her husband, a woman can take care of her children, a woman can take care of the whole family, even financially. That doesn't matter. But the only problem is that you cannot speak it out. You cannot say it out in the public that, see, I'm taking care of my family. But if a man does that, that is a kind of prestige. That is a kind of a proud moment for a man to say that, of course, I'm the breadwinner. I'm taking care of the family. I'm not allowing, the word is allowing. I'm not allowing my wife to go for a job because I need no money of hers. See, it's not necessary that my wife should bring money home. I'm there. That is kind of a proud moment for men. That is how society teaches men to be. Whereas for women, even if they are taking care of all the financial concerns of a family, they cannot speak it out. They cannot say that I am taking care of my family. If at all you say that, if at all you happen to speak out that way, you are insulting the male counterpart. Now, Adiche, here Adiche talks of two instances where she says that a Nigerian woman was there who was selling her house, who happened to sell her house because she did not want to intimidate the man whom she was going to marry. Because of her financial independence, she felt that she would be intimidating, she would be threatening, she would pose a threat to the male counterpart, the man whom she is going to get married. And there is also a case where the society has always taught that respect comes only when you're married. Marriage is a kind of a burden that we all impose upon girls alone. See, if a boy or if a man does not get married, it is always said that, of course, he did not get his pick. He did not get the suitable woman for his life. Whereas if it is a woman, what happens is the only aspiration that a woman can have is marriage. And there is an assumption that respect in society, you get respect in society only if you have a wedding ring around you. And Adiche talks about a woman who wears a ring. She goes to conferences, she goes to lots and lots of things, to lots and lots of countries, but then all the way she carries a wedding ring with her. She wears a wedding ring on her because she wanted to be taken seriously, because she feels that society takes only those women seriously who are married. Only those women who are married are taken seriously. Only those women who are married are given respect. So do you think that wedding ring gives you respect? Or what gives you respect? Is it the job that you have? Is it the financial independence that you are in? Or is it just the wedding ring, just the tali that we call the tali or the mahar that you have? Is that the thing? Is that the thing that gives you respect in the society? So what Adiche says that why should a woman's success threaten man? Why should a woman's success emasculate man? Emasculate is the word that she uses. Emasculate means making a man feel that he has lost his maleness or male roles and qualities because women has become so successful. Why should a man feel in that way? And now Adiche talks about the fact that society always imposes on women, that is, women are always told to aspire for marriage. You can of course make choices in your life. You can go for a job, you can take up your study, everything you can do, provided you do not sacrifice marriage, provided you get married, provided you take care of the household, everything, all the household chores, and you take care of the kids, take care of your husband, take care of your in-laws, then all your studies are okay, then all your career opportunities, or the opportunities that you get, the career dreams that you have, everything is okay, provided you are able to you are able to keep up the marriage. So of course marriage is good in lots and lots of things. Marriage is good. You are lucky if you can love somebody and you are loved by somebody. That is fine with that. But what if you don't want it? What if a girl doesn't want to get married? Why does marriage becomes a pressure on her? And why don't we teach boys to aspire for marriage? We do not teach boys to aspire for a marriage. We teach boys to go for career, to go for goal advancement, career advancements, all those. They can pursue whatever they want to, they can travel, they can go and fulfill all their dreams. But for women, for girls, they are not allowed to do so. They are not allowed to do so in the society, and they are not. They always have this aspiration. The only dream that children usually, girl students usually have, is to aspire for a good marriage. I need to get married. That's most of the time. Colleges are just gateways for marriage. Sometimes I feel so. So girls are always under pressure from all parts, from their friends, from their relatives. What happens when you don't get married? What happens when you say that you don't want to marry, you want to study? What happens when, there are lots and lots of questions which are posed when you say that you want to study instead of getting married. What are the usual questions? Do you have a boyfriend? That is one question that is being asked. What is going to happen if you're going to study, are you going to become an IAS officer or so? So these are the questions that are usually being posed to those girls who are always under the pressure of marriage, or who say that I don't want to get married, I want to pursue my studies. So if you are not married, say you have lots and lots of examples in the society which parents, which friends, which your relatives come and inject into your ears, that is of those women who are not married and who have turned out to be a failure. In a sense, marriage is the benchmark. And if you are not married, you are a failure. If a woman does not get married, she is a failure. Whereas if a man does not get married, it's just that he has not found his right choice. Now, talking about marriage, Adiche focuses on the language of marriage. What is the language of marriage? Language of marriage is always the language of ownership, of selling and buying, of of power, of obedience. Not of mutual respect. There is no mutual respect involved. There is of course respect involved, but not mutual respect. Respect is something that a wife has to give her husband, not something that a husband has to give her wife. This is what the society teaches. Now, and once you get married, you have this so-called peace in marriage, right? Peace in marriage. Now, what is peace in marriage for men and women? What are the things that men and women do for the so-called peace in marriage? Women are supposed to give up their job, give up their career, their goals, their ambitions, their dreams, everything, so as to keep up peace in marriage. And what about men? Men, in order to keep peace in marriage, they do not, instead of going to clubs every day, they go to clubs only during weekends. That is the thing that men do. Now, what about, there are lots and lots of things when you talk about relationships, when you talk about marriage. First one is peace. Second one is respect. Third one is obviously compromise. Now, what is compromise in a relationship? What is compromise? Compromise is something that a woman does in a relationship. And see, most of the time when you talk about competition, what is competition for men and women? Competition, according to the society, according to the societal norms, when men compete, it is for advancements, career advancements. It is to aspire to their dreams, to their goals, etc. Whereas when society talks about women competing, it is just for the attention of males. I don't know what it is. Now, there is another thing that Adiche talks about. What about having girlfriends and boyfriends? See, girlfriends for your sons is very much okay. You are ready to call the girlfriends of your boys, talk to them, everything is okay. But what about boyfriends? Boyfriends for daughters are not okay at all. If your daughter has a boyfriend, has so many boyfriends, you are like shocked. You are like you scold your daughter for having boyfriends, but then you expect your daughter to get married to a very handsome, financially independent man. And yeah, another thing Adiche talks about is how girls are being praised for being virgin, and why boys are not supposed to preserve the so-called virginity at all. Virginity is not something which is applicable to boys, whereas virginity is something which is very much applicable for women, for girls. And what about when women or girls lose their virginity in the form of getting raped or so? When, if at all women get raped, if at all a girl gets raped, what happens? The question will not be about the savagery that the boys were doing there, the men were doing on her body, the power that these boys were, the violence that the boys were doing or the men were doing on a woman's body. The question will not be that. Nobody would raise a voice or nobody would raise a finger against the group of men or the man who has committed rape. Instead, if a woman gets raped, the first question asked would be, what was she doing there? What was she doing in a room of 4 men? What was she doing in the street at night, at that time of night? What was she doing there? It is always she. It is always the woman. It is always the girl who are made guilty, who are made guilty of the violence that is committed on her. So men are all the time taught to be savage, whereas women are all the time taught self-control, shame. They are taught shame. Women are taught shame. Shame is something which is taught to girls alone. What kind of shame? Why are your legs open? Close your legs. Cover up yourself. Be a girl. Do not stare at somebody. Do not speak out. You are supposed to control yourself in everything. There is a typical silencing of the girls, and these girls are not able to, they do not know how to express their desires, they do not speak out what they think, they do not know how to speak out their desires, how to speak out their dreams, etc., etc. And there is another assumption that all women should like domestic chores. All women should love domesticity, love domestic works. Sometimes, or most of the time, there are girls who do not like to work at home, who do not like to do household chores, but then they're compelled to like it. They'll have to pretend as if they like it. See, is it something like Adiche is asking? Is something like cooking is in the genes of girls or not? But then if that is the case, see, when you look at the world's famous chefs, all are men. So majority of cooks are men. So the genes of cooking might be there in the genes in men than in women. So, and Adiche also cites examples in households where the daughters are made to cook for the sons in the house. Both of them are not taught cooking. Only daughters in the house are taught cooking, and the boys or the sons in the households are not taught cooking. Why are boys not taught cooking? And And she also talks about another instance connected to cooking, connected to household chores, that women will have to love domestic works because they're compelled to love it. Only daughters are taught cooking. And if at all you are a working woman, and your husband is also working, what happens is, after your shift at the workspace or workplace, what happens is you come back tired home, and then you will have to do your second shift of work. I mean, you will have to cook for the rest of the family over there, and that is something which happens regularly on a normal basis. It is considered to be very normal. And if at all your husband happens to do something, say for example, do some cutting of the vegetables, or changing the nappy, that is the example Adiche says, talks about changing the nappy of the baby or something like that. Any work, or he spreads the bed sheet or something like that. If at all he does it, the woman of the household, the wife, happens to thank him. Why? Isn't household chores the duty of her husband as well? Isn't the household the responsibility of the husband as well? Isn't the kids the responsibility of the husband as well? Why should she? Why is the society teaching us to be thankful of this silly thing, this thing that a husband is supposed to do? A husband is supposed to do in the household. Isn't that his work as well? Now, gender in that way tells a woman, tells a man as well as a woman, tells a man and a woman what they should be. What you should be is being dictated by the norms that society put forward in the form of gender norms. Now, instead of accepting what you are, instead of accepting the real you, they tell you what you're supposed to be. And Adiche says that, I wind up this video by posing a question from Adiche, where she says that, shouldn't the focus be more on ability than on gender? Should we actually focus on ability or on gender? Should gender be taken as a yardstick, or should the ability be taken as into consideration when you are dealing with, or when you're talking about, when we talk about boys and girls? So we'll talk about the rest of the essay in the next video. Thank you.